People graduate from school, college, and university. They think their education is complete. But the truth is, the most powerful form of learning doesn't happen in classrooms. It happens every single day, through self-discipline, self-reflection, and self-education. In a world moving faster than ever, where knowledge becomes outdated in months, relying solely on formal education is no longer enough. The people who rise, adapt, and lead are not necessarily the smartest, but the most committed to learning every day. Self-education is not just reading books or watching videos. It's a mindset, a way of life where you become your own teacher, your own student, and your own greatest project. It is the path of those who refuse to remain stagnant. The journey of growth begins not when someone teaches you, but when you choose to teach yourself. Number 1. Learning is a daily ritual, not a one-time event. Learning is not something you cross off a list, nor is it a task that ends once you receive a certificate or diploma. Learning is a lifelong ritual, a rhythm woven into the fabric of daily existence. Just as you breathe without effort, eat to nourish the body, and sleep to restore your strength, learning must become a natural act that sustains your growth. To treat learning as a one-time event is to deny yourself the nourishment your mind and spirit require to stay alive and vibrant. The moment you stop learning, a part of you begins to decay, because growth and vitality depend on the willingness to keep evolving. When people think of education, they often picture classrooms, exams, and teachers. But true learning begins when there are no walls, no schedules, and no formal lessons. It begins when you open your eyes in the morning and recognize that life itself is the teacher. Every situation, every interaction, every failure and success, these are opportunities to expand your awareness. If you only rely on structured education, you confine yourself to a limited curriculum. But when you turn learning into a daily ritual, the whole world becomes your school. Rituals are powerful because they shape who we are without us even realizing it. Think of the rituals you already practice: brushing your teeth, eating meals, walking to work, preparing for sleep. These are not events you do once. They are repeated daily because they maintain your well-being. Learning must be treated with the same seriousness. Even a small practice of reading a few pages, reflecting on your day, or writing down lessons learned from mistakes can have a compounding effect on your growth. What feels small in the moment becomes monumental when repeated over years. The strength of a ritual lies in its consistency, not its intensity. Many people set grand goals of reading hundreds of books, learning new skills overnight, or mastering an art in a short span of time. But they soon become exhausted, discouraged, and give up. The true way is gentler but infinitely more powerful. Learn something, however small, every single day. A drop of water falling consistently will carve stone, while a flood that comes only once will soon be forgotten. This is the nature of steady daily learning. It leaves a lasting mark. When you see learning as a ritual, it no longer feels like a burden. It becomes as natural as breathing. You don't need to wait for motivation to strike, nor do you depend on external reminders. It becomes part of who you are. Just as a tree does not force itself to grow but simply responds to the rhythm of sun and rain, you too will grow effortlessly when you nurture learning daily. You will notice your mind becoming sharper, your perspective deeper, and your actions more aligned with wisdom. But more importantly, this ritual cultivates humility. Each day of learning reminds you that no matter how much you know, there is always more to discover. Knowledge is like the horizon. The closer you walk toward it, the further it stretches. When you practice learning daily, arrogance fades, and curiosity takes its place. You begin to approach life not with the pride of knowing, but with the openness of exploring. This attitude keeps your spirit young and your heart receptive. To make learning a daily ritual does not mean adding hours of study into an already busy life. It means shifting your awareness so that learning happens naturally. Listen more attentively when someone speaks, observe patterns in nature, reflect on the mistakes you make, and search for lessons in every challenge. These simple practices transform ordinary days into extraordinary classrooms. Each sunrise becomes an invitation to grow, and each sunset becomes a reminder to reflect. So let learning not be an occasional visitor in your life. Invite it to be a daily companion. Honor it as you honor your breath. Protect it as you protect your health. For when you turn learning into a ritual, you do not merely accumulate information, you transform yourself. And the one who transforms through daily learning does not just survive the journey of life, they thrive, they rise, and they illuminate the path for others. Number 2. Small lessons compound into great wisdom. About greatness is not built in one moment of inspiration, nor in a single act of brilliance. It is the quiet accumulation of small, consistent steps taken over time. Just as rivers carve valleys not by force but by persistence, wisdom is shaped not by one grand lesson but by the daily absorption of small truths. Many people overestimate what they can achieve in a short burst of effort and underestimate the profound transformation that comes from steady, consistent learning. Consider the nature of a seed. By itself it seems insignificant, powerless, even fragile. But when nurtured daily with water and sunlight, it grows into a tree that stands strong against storms. The same principle applies to knowledge. A few minutes of reading, a short reflection, or a single new practice may appear small in isolation, but when repeated each day they grow into wisdom that is unshakable. The power lies not in the size of each lesson but in their compounding effect over time. Think of how a musician trains. Mastery does not come from playing an instrument for 12 hours once a month, but from practicing scales for 30 minutes each day. The hands become familiar with movement, the ears become tuned to harmony, and the soul becomes aligned with rhythm. It is the discipline of repetition that transforms skill into mastery. Learning follows the same law. Wisdom is not delivered in a sudden flash. It is carved into the mind and heart through the repeated chiseling of small lessons. Too often people are discouraged because they believe progress must be dramatic and immediate. They start learning a new skill, reading a book or practicing a habit, but when results do not appear quickly they abandon the effort. This is a mistake. Growth is invisible in the beginning. A tree does not sprout leaves on the first day it is planted. Progress is quiet, subtle, almost hidden, until one day the transformation is undeniable. Daily learning is the same. You may not notice change each day, but over months and years the difference will be extraordinary. There is a deep wisdom in valuing the small. When you learn something new each day, you train your mind to see meaning in the details. A short story can spark a new perspective. A single quote can alter the direction of your thinking. A brief observation can change how you see the world. When you honor these small lessons, you train yourself to extract wisdom from every corner of life, not just from grand teachings. The compounding effect of small lessons also builds resilience. Knowledge gained gradually is knowledge that sinks deep into your being. It becomes part of who you are. Lessons learned in small, steady doses stay with you longer than rushed or overwhelming teachings. Just as the body digests food better in small portions, the mind and soul absorb wisdom more effectively when it is given space to settle. The beauty of this approach is its accessibility. Anyone, regardless of background or circumstance, can commit to small daily lessons. You do not need special resources or long hours. You need only consistency. Read one page, reflect for 5 minutes, practice one new thought, or listen to a short teaching. These tiny steps are within reach for everyone, but their long-term results are powerful beyond measure. Over time, these lessons create not just knowledge, but transformation. They reshape your habits, refine your character, and elevate your understanding. The mind becomes sharper, the heart more compassionate, and the spirit more grounded. Small lessons compound into great wisdom because they are not separate events. They become woven into the very fabric of who you are. So do not underestimate the power of the small. Do not wait for a perfect moment to learn something grand. Instead, plant seeds of wisdom daily, however tiny they may seem. In time you will look back and realize that those seeds have grown into a forest of strength, clarity, and wisdom that shelters not only you but also those who walk in your presence. That is the quiet, unstoppable power of small lessons practiced every day. Number 3. You become what you consume. Every thought that enters your mind, every image you allow before your eyes, every word you listen to is food for your inner being. Just as your body is shaped by the food you eat, your mind and spirit are shaped by the information, conversations, and influences you consume daily. You become a reflection of your environment, whether you are aware of it or not. The quality of your life is determined by the quality of what you allow to enter your mind. When you eat unhealthy food every day, your body weakens over time. The effect may not be immediate, but slowly, silently, it shows. The same is true for your thoughts. When you constantly consume negativity, gossip, fear-driven news, toxic conversations, you may not notice the damage at first. But over time it poisons your mindset, weakens your confidence, and clouds your clarity. In contrast, when you feed your mind with empowering words, uplifting knowledge, and meaningful conversations, your inner world becomes stronger, brighter, and more resilient. The mind is like a garden. Whatever you plant, it will grow. If you sow seeds of anger, fear, and doubt, weeds will take over and choke your potential. But if you sow seeds of wisdom, courage, and hope, your mind becomes fertile ground for greatness. The gardener's responsibility is to choose carefully what enters the soil. Likewise, your responsibility is to guard the gates of your attention. Not everything deserves space in your mind. Protect it as you would protect something sacred. In the modern world, distraction is abundant. Endless streams of information compete for your attention. Not all of it nourishes you. Most of it drains you. To live with strength, you must become selective. Choose books that inspire growth instead of endless scrolling that numbs the mind. Choose conversations that uplift instead of gossip that weakens trust. Choose mentors, teachers, and voices that remind you of your higher purpose, instead of voices that anchor you to mediocrity. Becoming aware of what you consume also means recognizing the subtle influences around you. Music, films, even the company you keep, all of these shape your inner world. If you walk with people who complain, you will soon find yourself echoing their frustrations. If you walk with those who dream, create, and act with courage, their fire will ignite your own. The people around you are like mirrors. They reflect the path you are on. Surround yourself with mirrors that remind you of the person you wish to become. You become what you consume, because what you consume becomes your thoughts, and your thoughts shape your actions, and your actions define your destiny. This is why every choice matters, even the smallest ones. A single page of wisdom read daily accumulates into clarity. A short moment of gratitude practiced daily cultivates peace. On the other hand, one careless habit of indulging in negativity can quietly sabotage your growth. Nothing you consume is neutral. It is either moving you forward or pulling you back. When you understand this truth, you begin to live with intention. You no longer allow anything to carelessly enter your mind. You begin to ask, will this strengthen me or weaken me? Will this raise my awareness or lower it? Will this guide me toward wisdom or pull me toward ignorance? When you live with this awareness, learning becomes a sacred act, and consuming becomes an act of discipline. So guard your mind with the same care as you guard your body. Feed it with knowledge, reflection, and truth. Surround it with voices that remind you of your higher potential. Create an environment where wisdom grows naturally and where negativity has no place to root itself. Because in the end you will always become what you consume. And when you choose wisely, what you consume can transform not only your mind but also the course of your life. Number 4. Self-education builds self-trust. Trust is the foundation of every relationship, and the most important relationship you will ever have is the one with yourself. When you commit to learning on your own every day, you are not simply gaining knowledge, you are strengthening this relationship. You are proving to yourself again and again that you can depend on your own effort, your own discipline, and your own wisdom. This is the hidden gift of self-education. It does not just expand your mind, it deepens your trust in yourself. Many people doubt their abilities because they rely too heavily on external approval. They wait for teachers, leaders, or systems to guide them, and when those supports are not present, they feel lost. But when you take the initiative to learn, to research, to reflect, and to practice on your own, you no longer wait for permission to grow. You no longer depend on someone else to validate your direction. You begin to discover that you are capable of guiding yourself. This discovery is empowering. It builds an inner confidence that cannot easily be shaken. Think of a person lost in a forest. One may wait for someone else to show the path, while another chooses to observe the stars, the trees, and the patterns of the land, slowly finding their way. The second person learns to trust their ability to adapt and solve problems. That trust does not come from being told what to do. It comes from the courage to learn independently. In life, the same principle applies. The more you practice educating yourself, the more you realize that you are never truly lost, because within you lies the capacity to figure things out. Self-trust is not built through empty affirmations. It is built through evidence. Each time you sit down to learn something new, each time you seek knowledge without being told, you are collecting evidence that you are disciplined, capable, and worthy of progress. Over time, these small acts of self-education form a powerful belief. I can rely on myself. This belief becomes the root of resilience. Even when challenges arise, even when the path is unclear, you carry the certainty that you can learn, adapt, and move forward. The absence of self-trust creates fear and hesitation. People who do not trust themselves second-guess every decision, doubt every choice, and hesitate to act. They feel powerless because they do not believe they can handle what comes next. But self-education is the antidote. When you make learning your responsibility, you prove to yourself that you can handle uncertainty. You no longer fear the unknown, because you know you have the tools to understand it. You no longer fear change, because you trust your ability to adapt to it. This trust is liberating. It allows you to walk paths others avoid, to take opportunities others doubt, and to face challenges others fear. Self-education transforms dependence into independence, uncertainty into confidence, and hesitation into action. And with each step, the bond between you and yourself grows stronger. So make it your practice to learn every day, not only to expand your knowledge, but to strengthen your trust in yourself. For when you deeply trust yourself, you become unshakable. No setback can break you, no failure can define you, and no challenge can overpower you. You carry within you the unshakable truth: I can rely on me. Number 5. In the silence of learning, you hear your true voice. The world today is loud. Voices compete for your attention. Screens flood your mind with endless noise, and opinions surround you from every direction. In this constant storm of distractions, many people lose touch with their inner voice, the voice that carries clarity, wisdom, and truth. But when you commit to daily learning, especially in silence, you create space for that voice to emerge. In the quiet moments of reflection, your true guidance is heard. Learning is not only about gathering information, it is about creating the conditions where insight can arise. Silence is one of those conditions. When you read in silence, when you reflect without distraction, when you absorb wisdom without rushing, your mind begins to settle. The restless waves of thought calm down, and in that stillness, the deeper truths hidden within you begin to surface. This is why moments of quiet learning are so powerful. They do not just fill you with knowledge, they reconnect you to yourself. Consider a lake. When disturbed, the water becomes cloudy, and nothing beneath can be seen. But when the surface is still, the reflection is clear, and you can see both the sky above and the depths below. The mind is the same. When filled with noise and distraction, clarity is impossible. But through silence and learning, the mind becomes like a still lake, reflective, receptive, and able to reveal its depth. In silence, you also begin to distinguish between the voices of others and your own. Society, friends, and media constantly tell you who to be, what to chase, and how to live. If you are always listening to them, you may mistake their voices for your own. But when you withdraw into silence, with a book, a lesson, or simple reflection, you can hear what your soul is truly saying. Self-education in silence is not just about learning from outside sources. It is also about learning from the teacher within. This practice requires discipline. It is easy to seek noise because noise is a distraction from facing yourself. Silence, however, demands honesty. When you sit quietly with what you are learning, uncomfortable truths may arise. You may realize mistakes, weaknesses, or fears you've been avoiding, but in facing them, you grow stronger. Silence reveals not only your voice of wisdom, but also the areas where growth is most needed. Through this process, your voice becomes clearer over time. The more you honor silent learning, the less you are swayed by outside noise. You no longer need constant validation, because you trust your inner guidance. You no longer feel lost in the crowd because you carry a compass within. This voice guides your choices, strengthens your purpose, and keeps you aligned with your truth, even when the world pulls you in different directions. So let silence become part of your daily ritual of learning. Turn off the noise, withdraw from the chaos, and allow yourself the gift of stillness. In those moments, read, reflect, or simply breathe with awareness. For it is in these sacred pauses that the most important lessons are revealed, not from the world outside, but from the depth of your own being. In silence you will hear the voice that has always been there, waiting patiently to guide you. Number 6. Your greatest asset is the ability to learn, unlearn, and relearn. The world is in constant motion. What was true yesterday may be outdated today. Skills that were valuable years ago may now be irrelevant. Ideas that once seemed unshakable can be challenged and replaced. In such a changing world, the greatest asset is not what you already know, but your ability to learn, unlearn, and relearn. This ability is what keeps you alive, adaptable, and prepared for every season of life. Many people cling to knowledge as if it were permanent. They hold tightly to old ways of thinking, old skills, and old beliefs. Even when the world around them has shifted, this resistance creates struggle, frustration, and eventually failure. True wisdom lies not in refusing change, but in embracing it with openness. The mind that is rigid breaks under pressure, but the mind that is flexible bends and survives. Learning, unlearning, and relearning is how you remain flexible in the face of life's storms. Learning is the first step. It is the willingness to seek knowledge, to explore new ideas, to absorb wisdom from every source. But learning alone is not enough. Sometimes what you have learned becomes a limitation. Old habits, outdated beliefs, or fixed ways of doing things can block your growth. In those moments, unlearning becomes essential. To unlearn is to release what no longer serves you, to let go of knowledge or patterns that were once useful but have now become obstacles. Unlearning is not weakness, it is courage. It takes humility to admit that something you held as truth is no longer right for you. It takes strength to release the comfort of old habits. Yet every time you unlearn, you create space for something greater. Just as a tree sheds its leaves to prepare for new growth, you too must shed old ideas to make room for new ones. Relearning completes the cycle. It is not starting over but approaching knowledge with fresh eyes. It is taking what you once knew and understanding it on a deeper level, with new perspectives gained from experience. For example, a lesson you learned as a child may seem simple, but when you revisit it years later, after facing life's challenges, the same lesson carries a richer meaning. Relearning allows wisdom to mature within you. This cycle of learning, unlearning, and relearning keeps you alive to growth. It ensures that you are never trapped by the past, never paralyzed by change, and never too rigid to adapt. It makes you resilient. It allows you to walk into the unknown with confidence, because you trust your ability to adjust. The person who masters this cycle does not fear change. They welcome it as an opportunity to grow. Your greatest asset is not the degree you earned, the books you have read, or the skills you currently possess. Those can lose value. Your greatest asset is your adaptability, the ability to continuously reshape your mind, to release what no longer serves you, and to embrace what does. This is the true mark of intelligence and wisdom. So commit yourself to this cycle. Learn daily, unlearn courageously, and relearn with humility. For in a world that never stops changing, it is not the strongest who thrive, nor the most intelligent, but those most willing to adapt. Number 7. Those who educate themselves daily never stay powerless. Powerlessness is not simply the absence of strength. It is the absence of awareness, of clarity, and of knowledge. Many people feel trapped not because they are incapable, but because they lack the understanding of how to change their situation. Ignorance breeds fear, and fear breeds inaction. But the moment you choose to educate yourself every single day, you begin to dissolve that ignorance. You begin to reclaim your strength. Those who commit to daily self-education are never truly powerless, because knowledge equips them with tools to transform their lives. Knowledge has always been the foundation of freedom. Throughout history, those who understood, who learned, and who questioned the world around them were the ones who rose above limitations. Education does not merely fill the mind with information, it lights a fire of possibility. When you learn daily, you expand your vision. What once seemed impossible begins to look achievable. Where others see walls, you see doors. Where others see darkness, you see pathways of light. This is the quiet strength that daily education provides. Powerlessness comes from dependence. When you wait for others to guide you, to decide for you, or to hand you the answers, you give away your power. But self-education reverses this. It makes you the source rather than the seeker. Each book you read, each reflection you take, each skill you practice independently adds to your reservoir of strength. You no longer wait for permission to act. You act because you know you can. Daily education also builds resilience. Life will always bring challenges. Financial struggles, personal setbacks, sudden changes. To someone unprepared, these challenges feel like mountains impossible to climb. But to one who has trained their mind through daily learning, every obstacle becomes an opportunity to practice wisdom. The lessons you gather each day become your weapons against despair. They sharpen your courage and give you the strategies to adapt, endure, and overcome. This is why those who educate themselves daily never stay powerless. They cannot be trapped for long. They may face struggles, but they always find a way forward. They may fall, but they rise with greater awareness. They may feel uncertain, but they are never blind, for knowledge keeps their path lit. Education becomes their shield against fear and their compass in uncertainty. It is important to understand that this strength does not come overnight. A single day of learning may not change your life immediately, but over weeks, months, and years, the difference is undeniable. Each lesson compounds into clarity, each reflection deepens your wisdom, and each new skill expands your freedom. Like drops of water filling a jar, small daily acts of self-education eventually overflow into a life of empowerment. So never allow yourself to believe you are powerless. As long as you can learn, you carry within you the seed of transformation. Make education your daily discipline. Read, listen, reflect, and grow, even if only for a few minutes each day. For in those minutes you are reclaiming your power, expanding your horizon, and preparing yourself for every challenge ahead. Those who educate themselves daily cannot be controlled, cannot be broken, and cannot be kept small. They are free in mind and strong in spirit. And the one who is free in mind and strong in spirit is never powerless. As this journey of reflection draws to a close, remember this self-education is not a task, it is a way of living. It is not bound by classrooms, by age, or by circumstance. It is a choice that belongs to you every single day, and with every choice to learn, you are shaping the person you are becoming. The truth is simple: your future does not depend only on what you already know, but on your willingness to keep learning. The books you open, the conversations you engage in, the silence you embrace, the lessons you extract from failure, all of these are the bricks with which you build the foundation of your life. And when you build that foundation daily, it becomes unshakable. Knowledge will give you clarity when the path seems dark. Learning will give you strength when you feel weak. Wisdom will give you peace when the world feels loud and overwhelming. This is why daily self-education is powerful. It keeps you alive to possibility. It turns confusion into clarity, fear into courage, and weakness into resilience. Do not wait for others to teach you everything you need to know. Do not wait for the perfect time or the perfect conditions. Begin today. Read a page, listen with awareness. Observe the world around you and reflect on your own actions. Each small effort compounds into a life of mastery. And a life of mastery is not one lived in powerlessness. It is one lived in freedom. So carry this truth within you. Self-education is the discipline that ensures you will never remain the same tomorrow as you are today. It is the promise that each sunrise offers you a chance to grow, and each sunset leaves you wiser than before. Protect it, practice it, honor it. For in the power of daily self-education lies the power to transform your life, and through your life to inspire others.